is going on, folks? Will Turbitt here, aka you know who. Fake Mike. Not gonna slam. Not in the slamming mood. Haven't been in the slamming mood lately. Real news. All right, so we'll be joined 5-10 minutes by Leo Zagami. First, I want to know where you guys are tuning in from, and I figured, hey, we'll go live a little bit earlier than projected, and we'll see if you guys have any questions for Leo Zagami. So, first comment, let me know where you guys are tuning in from. Second comment, let me know if you guys have any questions or comments for Leo Zagami. Leo is a trailblazer in our genre. He's somebody that has blown the whistle. He's written the books Confession of an Illuminati, now up to volume 8. We're going to be talking about that. What's up, Lindsay? Andrew, good to see you. Good guy. What up? Todd, my boy Todd's in this beast. Dorcas, I've never seen you in my chat. Welcome. Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind. I did, yeah. Yum, good to see you. High Desert, Hesperia, California. Don't know if I said that right. All right, guys, where are you guys coming from, and what, if any, questions do you have for Leo Zagami? He should be joining us in 5 or 10 minutes. And I said, hey, you know what? This would be, I just got a notification from my own channel that I was live. So hooray, that never happened before. How many of you guys get the notifications? I'd be curious to see. I got a whole bunch of cool questions for Leo, as I always do. And we got 45 minutes with him once he gets on. So, Dorcas, I don't remember you responding. Thanks, man. Sorry, I don't remember you typing. There's a lot of people. I've asked them about Gematria twice. You guys go back and check out. Pardon me. Me. Go back and check the videos we did. We talked about Gematria a few times with Leo. His website is in the description. Good question. Why are they so obsessed with kids? Why so obsessed with the kids? It's a good question, good guy audits. The kiddos. Yep, leozagami.com. Tommy, good to see you. It's been a little while. How you doing, Tommy? Forget about it. Oh, yeah. Please open up. Go to my other videos and check out. Let me see. Brandon is in the house. You know, we got a really good group. We actually have a really good group of Brandons alone. Like we got Brandon Mitchell. We got my boy Brandon here. Let's see if I can go through my channel a little bit and just show you. Ooh. Let's see. I'm gonna share the screen. Yeah, Tommy, much appreciated. Tommy is like the best moderator. He always puts my social media in there, or my guest social media, my links. Great moderator. Couldn't ask for a better mod. He's got the mod bod. All right, let's see. The quality, guys. Let's see. So for real, I'm in the chat now. We're gonna have a little chit-chatteroo. Check out Auditing America videos from me. Auditing America. Everyone go check out Auditing America. Wi-Fi is not the best. Thank you, Stephen. Also right to you, same to you. So let's take a look, right? Take a look. Brent, me on top, per usual on the megaphone, Ground Zero, Flavor Flav, me, aka L. Ron Hubbard, returning Scientology, me debating some commies at Yale University. Yale University students, they do the walk of shame. Of course, Val Venus, the country. Confronting yet another congressman here, Mark Pocan. To demand the truth and go to Fake Mike Real News, my channel, and go back through the videos. I mean, we've interviewed. Yeah, the connection was sucking right there, so I just stopped that right there. We've interviewed a lot of great people on the channel. Fritz Bringmeier, Jordan Maxwell, Dr. Shiva Adiyurai, John Kiriakou, Martin Luther King Jr.'s niece, John McAfee, U.S. diplomats, on and on and on and on and on. We've confronted the Bushes, the Clintons, went to the Bush's house, went to the Bill Gates house. We've owned judges, we've owned police, we've owned senators. Remember this here? Remember that? You guys remember this one? Yeah, help me open up a dispensary, guys. Yeah, thanks, Tommy. So yeah, hopefully the connection is a little bit better now. Yeah, you know, these people have been working at this plan for a long time. And we know this because we have their writings. We have the writings of Aldous Huxley. We have the writings of Bertrand Russell. We have the writings of Henry Kissinger. We have the speeches and the writings of David Rockefeller. David Rockefeller's autobiography, 2002 memoirs, great book. Not for a read, but you know, it's great to get the insight of these people. I just started reading a new Henry Kissinger book, a biography about Henry Kissinger. Craziness, just craziness. So Leo's been somebody that has literally put his life on the line to expose what's going on. He literally put his life on his line. Yeah, so the connection is better now. Bill Gates was time when you asked him your questions. Even Jordan Maxwell kept avoiding questions every time you asked them. How many questions did you ask them are legitimate? What do you mean, Bill Gates? That time you asked him your questions? Well, I went to Bill Gates' house and I rang his doorbell. Jordan Maxwell, I don't know if Jordan Maxwell avoided my questions. I've interviewed Jordan Maxwell like 5-6 times. Rest in peace. Everyone do me a favor and throw an F in the chat for my friend, for Leo Zagami's friend, Jordan Maxwell. Everyone throw an F in the chat for my boy, Jordan Maxwell. He will never be forgotten. And we got brand new projects coming with Fritz Bringmeier and Jordan Maxwell. Jordan Maxwell's legacy will live on. I can't say much more than that. But stay tuned for those projects. Todd, thank you for smashing the like. Everyone, if you could do me a big favor, I want to say thank you to everyone that's donated. $ Fake Mike Real News on Cash App, Fake Mike Real News on PayPal. Find me on Instagram, Fake Mike Real News, Twitter, Fake Mike Real News. FakeMikeRealNews.com is being revamped, so check back on that soon. FakeMikeRealNews.com on Facebook. Where was I going with this? But yeah, the best way to help me out is to share these videos, especially when I do interviews with people like you guys are funny in the chat, but especially when I'm doing an interview with somebody that like I super admire, like Leo Zagami. I really need you guys to get these videos out here. That's better. That's better than donations. I definitely appreciate the donations. If you guys want to get some merch, Fake Mike Real News, I got tons of stuff here. Can send a donation. We'll talk about that. Email me, fakemikerealnews@gmail.com. Yes, Leo Zagami's here. I need everyone. Tommy, please share this video. New Edge Designs, Peter Kaufman, Todd, good guy. You pass me with subscribers. Please share this video on your community chat. Mrs. J's house. What's up, Mr. J? Everyone go check out Mrs. J. Ian Cope Dog, Caleb, Yum. Please share this video. That's what I need you guys to do. I don't beg for money, but I do beg for shares. I'm an e-beggar for shares. Please, 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 please. So please share this video, especially when we have Leo, us, and
Hello there.
Leo.
Happy Christmas. Merry Christmas.
Leo, good to see you today, brother.
Yes, I can hear you with a slight delay, but I'm gonna try to get it. Okay, so thank you very much for having me on.
It's my pleasure, Leo. It's always good to speak to you, man. I was just telling people before you joined us how awesome you are, how you put your life on the line to give us this information, how you're a true whistleblower, and you've never given up. You've literally dedicated your life to this. You're somebody that I admire hugely. Before I got into doing this, you were among a handful of people that I was like, I really looked up to. And I remember the first time I was like, hey, Leo, please let me interview you. Please, 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 please. You popped me on your street and you put me on the spot. And I was like, wow. So Leo is the man. He's an author. He's a researcher. He's a YouTuber. He's a podcaster. He's I wouldn't say revolutionary, because a revolution is just a full circle back to where he started. He's an evolutionary. He's a master of the jack of all trades. So Leo, first and foremost, how was your holidays?
Yeah, we have, here in Palm Springs, the weather is quite good, so we can't complain. Definitely, it's much better than the rest of the US, which is pretty much freezing at the moment. So I must say that we are very thankful for the weather. We suffered very much the heat during the summer, so at least we can say that we got finally a positive kind of climate, and we can enjoy this Christmas with 75 to 80 degrees Fahrenheit, which is not too bad. Even at times getting over 80 degrees Fahrenheit. So we are very lucky indeed. We will, of course, expect a very hot summer, but that is something that happens usually, unfortunately. They're getting hotter and hotter. But we also know that the lies of the climate change are to cover up some natural cycles that, of course, happen during the course of mankind. And this is the moment in which, like I wrote in some of my books, we are approaching a sort of mini glacial age. So that is something that I had forecasted a long time ago. So it's no surprise that we have now this kind of weather. I've been promoting, of course, my new book, Volume 8 of my Confessions, which is at the moment getting a lot of positive reactions. We have only 5-star reviews, especially the Italian version got a lot of reactions. I invite all those people, of course, in the English who purchase the English-speaking edition to also leave reviews, because leaving reviews on Amazon, it's always challenging the system. You see, Amazon at times tends to even they don't shadow ban, of course, their own product, because they collaborate with us in the sales, but at times they have tricked a little bit the evaluation of it with the votes. Like, for example, when the Italian edition came out, we had only 5-star reviews, and suddenly we were 4.5 and not 5 stars. And I went to look for, if there were any 3-star reviews to bring down and there were none. So at that point, I invited my Italian audience to flood the whole Amazon purchasing scheme with positive reviews that will bring us back to 5 stars. And I got something like almost 70 reviews now. Instead, in the English language, we are selling much more, because we are selling very much in the English language, more than the Italian. Of course, it's a bigger market. The Anglo-Saxon, the English-speaking world covers England, covers South Africa, covers Australia, New Zealand, the United States of America, of course. And so we are getting a lot of purchases, but they're not followed by reviews. Do you think that they're a little bit lazy? What's your opinion on that one?
Yeah, even Amazon too. I mean, I wouldn't. Maybe they're not shadow banning, but they're definitely not promoting it for sure, as well as it should be promoted. Especially back based on the history of your books and your book sales, and that's actually what I wanted to start off talking.
We got though to become at some point number one in the category film and video, which is a very good thing. So I think that there has been some positive reactions, and definitely in a category of Amazon to become number one, like film and video, surrounded by all the big stars and stuff. It was definitely an accomplishment. In the past, of course, as you know, I've reached the best-selling charts with other books, more inclined to talk about the Vatican or Freemasonry or other topics. This is the first time I also touch, of course, on the subject of music, cinema, and I do it though unveiling their secret purpose and their secret mission. So it's a groundbreaking book. It's a very big book, which I'm selling for only $23, and it's a 700 pages book. So I'm doing it at a very low price at the moment because I wanted to give all my readers, followers, supporters the possibility of purchasing it for Christmas. I know this is it's not been an easy Christmas. It's not going to be an easy New Year's Eve. A lot of people are struggling economically. So I wanted to offer a book at a very, very reasonable price. Of course, from next month, I might put the price up, but you can get it at the moment for around $23, which I think for a book of almost 700 pages is a very good deal. And it's a book, of course, that is based on my research, but also on my direct experience as a record producer, as somebody who was for many years, for almost 30 years in the music business, actually over 30 years. It makes me feel old, all that. But yes, I started, some people may know, as a radio DJ and DJ in clubs, then record producer in the 80s, then 90s. I worked all around the world. I was guested in Russia many times by the Russian Federation. I ended up playing at the Bolshoi, the first DJ in history in Moscow. I was also playing regularly, like I said, all over, mainly all over Europe. I never came to play here in the United States when I was a DJ. And then I lived in London for a long time. London is really the capital of music, but I think you can really understand why when you reach the end of my book, of this 700 pages book, which really sums it all up in the end, in the last chapter, when I also touch on the subject of the royal family in particular, which has, of course, connections also directly with me, family connections, but at the same time also has connections with the music business that are very strong indeed. People don't really realize that companies like RCA or EMI in England, because EMI was born really there, RCA here in the US, these are companies that have a background in the military industrial complex. And so in my book, I wanted to explain how, a company, for example, like RCA, which was founded in 1919, in a period in which the Rockefellers were establishing themselves, controlling all the phases of American life. Today, we have once again people like every year going in front of a Christmas tree, which is erected in front of the Rockefeller Center, no? In New York. So it kind of like brings you to that. But also we have a lot of people who very much kind of promote this Rockefeller myth, like Jay-Z himself, Rockefeller Records, his own as somebody who is, of course, creating not only music, but like every other hip-hopper, including Kanye West, is getting into the fashion design and promoting their own clothing. He also promoted very much, in particular, Jay-Z, the symbolism of Freemasonry. And I explain very much in my book why and all the background around it. But my book is really a book that wants to bring you to understand how this manipulation in the last 100 years has ruined what was beautiful, because I think that art should stay pure, should stay beautiful, but at times, unfortunately, art has become then a tool of propaganda and more. And I think that it's important that people realize why we are in front of so many demented artists these days that don't really propose anything artistic. They rather propose their own commercial. I mean, it's about. It's no longer about making people go through these 7 notes, which have a sacred background. They are based on the planets. They're based on what were the ancient teachings of Pythagoras. They then evolved. They were based on Saint John the Baptist, and of course we know that Saint John the Baptist and Saint John the Evangelist are also 2 figures very important within Freemasonry, and in my book I explain how Guido d'Arezzo used this verse, this poetry form dedicated to Saint John, to then give birth to the musical system as we know it in most of the world, aside from, of course, English-speaking countries use A, B, they have the musical notes in a different way than maybe other countries that instead of do, re, mi, fa, sol, si. So I wanted in this book to explain how music has been a very important part of the work of the Illuminati, and also part of the work that, of course, we all do when we encounter, even when we go inside a supermarket or every day. We need to shield ourselves from this, and we need to know what's going on instead of being passive to all this. So from the rise of the Antichrist to the sound of the devil and the Great Reset, because I also talk about the Great Reset in Hollywood. So there is also a Great Reset going on in Hollywood. Hollywood is not promoting anymore the American dream. Hollywood stars have been annoying us now for years with their liberal BS, and we notice more and more how Hollywood and the White House kind of like are one big team, when of course there is a Democrat in the White House, because when you have Trump, for example, they never used to even visit, because they are completely politicized. So in the ancient mystery schools, priests were often musicians as well as scientists, philosophers, initiates. That's what I explain from chapter 1 of my book. The best known example, like I said just a minute ago, is Pythagoras, who was being initiated into the Egyptian mysteries, and then himself brought in the south of Italy, that at that time was part of Greece, this severe discipline and utmost secrecy regarding the secrets of geometry, but also of what Pythagoras considered a very important tool for evolving yourself, and that's music. That's, in fact, he said geometry basically was solidified music. So you see, the understanding of it also is that we have a logos. Now Jesus is known also as the logos, the word of God, and we have also the beginning of God's creation, which is in light. Let there be light, but also sound, because the sound is basically what creates around us, shapes things, and this, I think, is very important for me. The let's call it cosmological theories in the what is the music. And so A, B, C, D, F, G, this, like, when E, F, G. This is like we know the notes in English, but like I said, in the rest of the world, including Italy, the notes are Do, Re, Mi, Fa, Sol, La, Si, and they derive from a hymn to Saint John the Baptist. And like I was explaining a minute ago, he is connected to Freemasonry. Freemasonry that has always given a lot of importance to music. That's why in Masonic lodges in England, where I used to go, you always had somebody playing the organ or, during the rituals. And you have them in the church, you have people playing the organ in every, in every decent traditional church in the world. You still have this also. So as you can understand, the connection between God and the music is known, is part of what is sacred. The problem is that then music got manipulated in the last 120 years, more or less, from the very beginning of the 20th century. We had this aggressive stance on the standardization of music. So first of all, transforming the tuning of the music in a different tuning. Now, the tuning that, for example, we used to have before this standardization varied, but we can retune music to 432 hertz by retuning the A note, the Do note, and that at the moment is instead tuned on 440 hertz, which some people, some researchers consider out of tune with nature and humanity. So already there we see that there is an aggressive stance toward ruining something, ruining an approach to music that can be elevating you. Then we went from Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, an Illuminati, a Freemason, and I wanted to explain in my book how we got from the approach of Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart to the approach of Beyoncé and Jay-Z, basically, and make people understand why the Illuminati of yesterday are not the Illuminati of today, why there was, in the last couple of 100 years, a radical transformation within the mystery schools, within the Illuminati, within Freemasonry itself, that got corrupted more and more, became more and more progressive, more liberal. It married atheism. It kind of accepted things that initially they were regarded as absolute no by Freemasonry. Freemasonry didn't accept anybody that wasn't really a Christian at the beginning. After 1813, they let non-Christians in, and in 1870, in the 1870s, then this triggered the Grand Orient of France to break up from the rest of the world of Freemasonry, entering the possibility for atheists to join Masonic lodges, abandoning the traditional volume of the sacred lore and expanding this progressive liberal Freemasonry, which in the end has infected even regular, so-called regular Freemasonry. But without going in all these details that might be, annoying for some people, in my book, I wanted to explain how the background historically, culturally, of a guy like Mozart is definitely a different background for Jay-Z. And okay, of course, but also when you listen to the music of Mozart, you realize that you can elevate yourself, okay? This doesn't happen nowadays with modern musicians because in the last 200 years, the Illuminati got more and more involved with the occult. Then we had the arrival of the Golden Dawn, and then Aleister Crowley. And in turn, of course, Aleister Crowley became the head of the Ordo Templi Orientis, the OTO. And the OTO became very influential at all levels, in Hollywood especially, since the 1920s and 30s. And I explain this in my book because, you see, my book really wants to explain you all the levels of manipulation. So, for example, in Hollywood, we had the very beginning, the early stages with silent movies. And right from the silent movies onwards, we started to see an influx of horror, occult themes that were pushed on us from the very early stages. Now, I explain in my book why. I explain the lodges that were involved, the groups, the Ordo Templi Orientis celebrating their first Gnostic Mass in Hollywood, actually, on a little road on Hollywood, the road of Hollywood Boulevard, not in London, but in London in 1910, there was also another celebration that was still very important in Caxton Hall, which regarded the Eloise's rites by Aleister Crowley, which basically experimented for the first time rock and roll. What do I mean with rock and roll? He invited a bunch of journalists, he invited a crowd, and he took peyote, started cutting himself like Marilyn Manson on stage, and basically gave to the audience a live, the sensation of what it is to be involved in a ritual, because he was himself doing a ritual, but publicly on a stage in a theater in London, Caxton Hall. Now, that is the moment in which the egregore of rock really is born. And I explain also how Crowley was very much connected to voodoo. I explain how voodoo, hoodoo, and all the traditions related to this animist cults that come originally from Africa, passing through the Caribbean, influenced also Freemasonry. People don't know, for example, that ancient and accepted Scottish Rite, which is one of the most influential rites of Freemasonry, was actually born around Haiti, more than it was born around Washington. It was born around those slaves that were becoming Freemasons once they were free, but also around the people who were mixing elements. Haiti was basically a French colony. France was the place where the very first, the roots of the ancient and accepted Scottish rite come from. Okay?
Really? Wow.
And so in my book, I explain how you will find very many similarities between voodoo and Freemasonry, between certain figures in Freemasonry. The symbols, even the compass and the square used in Freemasonry, you find in voodoo. The actual way the voodoo priests do the ritual, they have to be at least 3, which is the minimum requirement also for Freemasons for opening a lodge, actually a triangle, and doing the ritual. And they also salute themselves, shaking their hands in a Masonic way. So there is a lot of things that have been picked up, exchanged between these traditions, okay? And I think that people really don't know much about it, because Freemasons don't want to be open about it. They don't want to say that the ancient and accepted Scottish Rite, aside from having, of course, within its fold, like I explained in volume 1 of my Confessions, the traditions of the Illuminati, of the various mystery schools back then, the various rites of Freemasonry of the 18th century was full of Masonic rites that were developing, and then it became like a big container of knowledge, okay? But they don't know how influential within the ancient accepted Scottish Rite, Martin de Pasquale and the whole work that was conducted by a specific Freemason. But I don't want to say too much, because of course you have to go and check the book and read the book. But
and people are asking,
yeah,
people are asking in the chat. First of all, they're saying they're starstruck. As am I. I feel so lucky to be able to converse here with Leo. But yeah, what is the best place? You can get it on Amazon. People are asking, hey, is the book on Audible? Hey, can I get the book on your website? What's the best place to get the book?
Well, the best place, we give an exclusive to Amazon, and I will explain also why. You see, I also sell my books in Italy. Now, the only way to bypass the censorship of the distributions in Italy was to distribute through Amazon. To work with Amazon, paradoxically, is to work with the mondialist. But in my case, it's actually has facilitated the distribution of a book that will have been censored in countries like Italy. And so
Yeah.
that's the main reason why I have given.
This is a lithium battery made by slaves in China, but I'm using this, and I'm using this computer right now to broadcast this information. So you're hijacking Amazon. The links will be in the description where you can buy the book. It'll be right under leozagami.com. And, just a couple points to double down what you're saying. First of all, incredibly fascinating because we know that they manipulate certain political events. We know that they control and manipulate the news. And, there have been rumblings about the Illuminati and Freemasonic influence on art. You can see that too with people like Marina Abramovich and some of these other folks. But also, music and art is the most powerful thing. For years, I was out here and I figured, hey, if I just memorize enough facts and tell them to people, they'll wake up. But what I didn't realize is there have been a number of psychological studies to show that people don't make decisions based on facts or logic. Rather, they make
that is another thing that I discuss very much in my book. I'm glad you brought it up because right at the start of the book, I also explain how there have been studies, manuals, and books that have influences the study on the masses, the reaction of the masses, the herd, how to manipulate basically the herd mentality that is then created. But also the concerts became experiments right from the explosion of the first phenomena, which is Elvis Presley. You see, in this book, once you read it, you will never again listen to music or view a movie in the same way, because I bring you all facts. In this book, there is approximately 1,020 citations from credible sources, reliable sources, academic, but also archives like the Rockefeller archives and other archives that I've consulted. The importance when you write a book like this and you are challenging the system is to be taken seriously. And for me, it was very much satisfaction when, for example, a professor here from California, who is rather known on the internet, Darrell Amamoto, said this is a book that really makes people evolve, and it's based on very serious research. I mean, the fact that I'm offering you this book at the moment for that price is, of course, it's not because I want to sell the book here. It's simply because I want to really reach as many people as possible in this moment in history when people need this book. It's a book that you need to understand the level of manipulation. I mean, there is a lot of topics that are touched in this book, of course. We were talking about Aleister Crowley. We were talking about Elvis Presley. He was the first one that scandalized, let's say, Puritan America with his dance moves that were considered at the time rather obscene. But people don't know that his background really came from voodoo, came from blues, came from those ceremonies imported, like I said a moment ago, from a place like Haiti, that then via Louisiana, Africans deported to New Orleans in the 18th century spread. And then we have, of course, another fascination by Elvis Presley that people don't know about, which is he was a disciple of Madame Blavatsky. Now, nobody knows that. So, I mean, most people know. So, you see, in my book, I wanted to really give hard evidence, not the usual thing. Oh, the Illuminati rule Hollywood. Oh, the Illuminati. No, yeah, but what is their names? Who are they? Which lodges? Now, this is what you're going to get in my book. You're going to get the facts. You're going to get the places. You're going to get the names. When they say, for example, John Wayne was a Freemason. Yeah, but which lodge? What was he doing in those lodges? And people will say, well, I don't know. I will tell you the name of the lodge, the building, the place that you can visit yourself and go to Los Angeles and check it out with your own eyes. So this is a difference, I think, from the prior books on this subject. I don't think that there is... I received an email. Actually, I want to find it and I want to read it to you this morning from an ex-member of the a very high-level member of the OTO, of the Louis Cohen, and of the Temple of Set of Michael Aquino. He used to work with Michael Aquino, and he wrote to me. He wrote to me this morning, and he told me, and I can tell you his name because he's now a Christian and a Catholic. He's called David Hall. He said, "Dear Leo, just got your book 8 and amazed at many of your accuracies not seen in most book of occult subjects. I was a member of EOD. EOD is an organization which Esoteric Order of the Dagon, which I talk about in my book. Temple of Set, adept to who knew Aquino and his wife, and was made a bishop in Crowley's lineage, as well as AA and Tifonian OTO. Over 30 years in occult orders, and I was amazed at some details you mentioned. Excellent research, brother. I was especially impressed that you knew the importance of Sirius, who is very rarely, if mentioned, in similar occult history books." There's Robert David Hall. So this David Hall guy is basically just one of the many people, of course, who has read this book and has confirmed the validity of what I'm writing, especially when you have somebody who comes from this occult background. You understand, it kind of like it's a great endorsement, and I think it was worth citing on your show today. Like I said, I don't have much time, but I would like to make a little bit extra time for you, maybe another 15 minutes, so we can go with the flow. But going back to this book, I try to explain secrets that people don't know about. For example, the Beatles. Everybody seems to know everything about the Beatles. They don't really know their occult fixations and how they were born and in which period, what brought them to actually put Aleister Crowley on the cover of one of their LPs, and being then censored also by the Vatican quite justly. And then the Vatican, though, lifts all these prohibitions in the early 80s because it's going through the transformation. Even the Vatican has a chapter in this book of importance, because after the Second Vatican Council, the Vatican then gradually opens up to music, pop music in the churches, people playing guitar, and then suddenly you have a priest now DJing and launching the Christotex, which are the latest invention, where basically I show how these priests in Brazil, in Italy, they play this music, techno, even trance, I don't know, weird electronic, then they project Jesus images in the church. I mean, I wanted to explain how the ideology of the Antichrist is surrounding us gradually. I wanted to explain the secrets behind Roman Polanski, as well as Rosemary's Baby, and what happened to also in that situation, but also modern Satanism, how it evolved. Anton LaVey was a important character. He was a giant in Satanism. He was the founder of the Church of Satan in 1966, who opened the first phase of modern Satanism, because modern Satanism was actually born with Aleister Crowley, but it evolved in the pop-tastic way thanks to Anton LaVey, who started to go on TV shows and stuff. He came, of course, after Crowley. He was a disciple of Crowley. He himself admitted being a disciple of Crowley. He didn't find what he wanted in the OTO. He found the OTO a bit too pompous and intellectual. He wanted to make something a little bit more pop-tastic, and he ended up writing the Satanic Bible, which became one of the most sold books in the world. And just 2 days ago, I think, his grandson died very young. Unfortunately, his family has been fueled by bad events, and also he was connected with Jane Mansfield, who ended up after a black mass with her head chopped off in a car accident. There is an account of a ritual in this book which sees Michael Aquino and Anton LaVey in the early 70s evoking the spirit of Marilyn Monroe. I will not tell you all the story, of course. You can go and read it in the book, volume 8 of my Confessions, but it is an incredible event. The reason why is because, of course, both Aquino and LaVey suspected that it was a murder already back then and wanted to have the confirmation directly from the spirit of Marilyn Monroe. And they went to the extent of going in the middle of the night to her home and then at a certain hour, then doing certain rituals. But like I said, you can discover that in my book. Anton LaVey claimed to be an atheist, like somebody is writing here in the chat. He claimed. But then, in reality, in private, he was saying something else. So you see, there is also that in my book. I explain, because, it's right. People have a distorted version of Anton LaVey's approach to occultism. They thought in the end it was all a big show. But in reality, it was much darker. And it opened up to even more dark, let's say, to a darker region when in the middle of the 70s, a schismatic group founded the Temple of Set with Michael Aquino. Michael Aquino's foundation of the Temple of Set is immediately after he reaches the top level of Magister Temple with Anton LaVey in the Church of Satan, and immediately after they do the evocation of the spirit of Marilyn Monroe. People don't know that. So I think there is a lot to learn from this book, aside from all the woke ideology, how it pervades Hollywood, how it dominates Hollywood, but where it comes from. Because everybody is capable to say, oh, Hollywood today is this, Hollywood today is that, but where it comes from. Now, in my book, I was very inquisitive and wanted to explain where it's all born, this whole problem, how, problems don't just come out of nowhere. They have a long story behind it. And we, when we talk about woke ideology, we should talk about the Frankfurt School. The Frankfurt School is something that not many people know about, but also they don't know about where the Frankfurt came out from, because Frankfurt is not just any kind of place. And at that point, Frankfurt School, political correctness, this 1960s that, of course, offered us this giant experiment of the CIA, which, of course, was flooding these big festivals with acid, LSD, which was itself part of this alchemical transformation. I explain why the Sabbatian Frankists in the last 2 centuries and a half, from the moment, of course, first Sabbath, there was the Sabbatian, then with the Sabbatai Zevi, who was a guy who thought he was the Messiah. He was a Jew who, of course, led an heretical schism within Judaism. And then it was, a century later, Jacob Frank became his heir, because in Judaism they believe in reincarnation. He conducted further this schism. And the Sabbatian Frankist schism is the problem within Judaism, not the Khazar Jews and all this BS. That's why I said to InfoWars during the interview I made for them dedicated to this book, that this is a book that Connie West should read to understand really what is the problem, instead of identifying the problem with a whole race, which is completely wrong. It would be like it would be like me saying every single Catholic is the problem. No, I know that Catholics nowadays, for example, we have Catholics who are still holding to their traditional beliefs, to their preconciliar beliefs before the Second Vatican Council. For those who don't know, Second Vatican Council, just go and Google it, because I can't say now about, because it will be a subject that is too vast. But it's important for people to not condemn the whole of Judaism, just as it's important to not condemn the whole of Catholicism, because it's wrong. It's just like ignorance. We know that the Pope today is not a legitimate Pope. We know that this Pope is a Jesuit. He is coming from the Jesuits. He's the first Jesuit Pope who is ruining the church, following the lines that were, of course, built in that Second Vatican Council. So you need to know the past, like in order to really understand the present and the future. And of course, going back to Orwell, George Orwell, then we can understand that his 1984 is rather light compared to the control system that we are subject to today. It's rather, no? Somebody is writing, would Leo's book help solve the hoax in Moscow Idol that is in the news today?
I'm going to address that, Leo, for you. I'm going to address that for you. So this is Zach. And Zach, I've interviewed you a couple times. And the last couple times, Zach, I said, hey, Zach, is there anything I should ask Leo about? And I asked him about Gematria. And I asked you about Gematria, and you expanded upon that. So if you want to check that out, go and do that. Because you're going to have to kind of like decipher through that to get to it. And in my opinion, that's not really neither here nor there. And we only have like about 4 or 5 minutes left.
No, but I want to answer quickly. In my book, I talk about all the evil that in today's campuses, universities, school, colleges, young people are subject because of the negative influence of music, of cinema, of video games that are used to incite this violence. I wouldn't be surprised that somebody who involved in this really terrible thing that happened there in Moscow Idol wasn't really brainwashed by one of these elements, either music, either video games or films. We see it in the case of the Columbine school shooting. I've written extensively a whole chapter about in volume 8 of my Confessions about the influence that these assassins had, and of course coming also from a satanic background. There was also a link that brings us directly to the daughter of Anton LaVey. But then we have other terrible events. We had, of course, these assassin rappers, which are the latest thing. You had the guy with that Boston march there with his car killing people, and he was making video. That is then there is the other guy on the 4th of July of this year, another rapper, another killer. All these things I explain in my book, and it's very important because I think that today we are always subject to the constant lies of the left saying, oh, we need to take guns off from people, we need to basically make this country a country where you can't buy guns, or you can't buy, like Europe, or China, where Mao Zedong at the very beginning took the guns from the population. Now we know that they want to at this point destroy our constitution, because you have the First and the Second Amendment, which are constantly under attack in this country at the moment. And so I think it's important that people study this book to understand instead that, the problem here is not about the guns. The problem is about the mental sickness generated by music, video games, films, aggressive films, violent films. We have, for example, Clockwork Orange. We just had the 50th anniversary of Clockwork Orange. But Clockwork Orange is just the beginning of something. And it was actually, in the words of the daughter of Stanley Kubrick, something, and also, something that wanted to be almost a criticism of, the way the media were kind of viewing certain behavior. But I think that in the end, we have gone a long way from then. We had the Quentin Tarantino movies in the 90s, bringing us more and more violence, and then normalizing violence, normalizing it, making it possible for us to simply put on the TV at whatever time of the day and night and see scenes that are terrible, people just killing themselves in a million different ways. Movies today are not about acting. Either they are about astonishing graphics like Avatar, whatever latest movie, but acting, where is the acting? Or they are about excruciating violence, which goes completely out of control, and it kind of after a while you're there, it's kind of splatter to the limit. Nowadays, horror movies have inflectionated the splatter genre, and you have this continuous, violence, all kinds of deliberate violence. Last night I was just watching one movie. At one point, this scene that went on like for 15 minutes of a rape. So, it was just like terrible. Why? People want to see that.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah. And you're right. It's okay, in my opinion, to have a little violence, to have a little graphic things in your movie. But not only did they live there for a long time, but in cases like Tarantino, who thinks it's okay that raping an underage child is not rape, the dialogue is irresponsible, it's stupid, and they've been certainly dumbing us down. And then the music aspect of things too, a lot of people know about Jay-Z, but did anybody hear about the Jay-Z song he has with John Legend, who's all over pop music, called Freemason? And Rick Ross, is literally called Freemason. And he's not talking about smacking hoes and selling crack. He's talking about seeing the sun at midnight and stuff like that. So I know, Leo, that you have to go. Any final words and any predictions on the future? Your links will be here in the description to purchase the book. Please purchase the book. I've read every single one of Leo's books, with the exception of this one. I have an Amazon gift card I was given. That's what I'll be purchasing.
Well, I tell you one thing, Will. I think that this interview needs a second part once you read the book.
Definitely.
Okay, because I think that at that point you will be able to also give me maybe some questions that could benefit the viewer. Regarding this book, there is a whole chapter also on the importance of LSD in this whole transformation that then led us to believe that we are all there every day watching these liberals talk about how great it was in Woodstock. It wasn't that great. It was a nightmare. It was a nightmare. Woodstock 1, Woodstock 2, Woodstock 3, and it was experiments that were conducted especially so they could see how the masses will react to this drug and transform also our society, transform that conservative Hollywood of John Wayne into the liberal nightmare of Jane Fonda. So, all this and more, of course, in volume 8 of my Confessions. And I wish you all, of course, a very happy New Year. And I hope that we can, of course, discuss further this book once you have read it. So God bless you all, guys. Thank you so much, Will, for having me on.
Leo, thank you very much for your time, man. You have a great, great New Year, man. I love you, brother. Thank you so much for everything you do, man. Thank you so much, brother.
Please send me the link to this video. I will definitely like to post it in my social networks of choice. Take care.
Much appreciated, Leo. God bless you, brother. Guys, we did it again. We interviewed Leo Zagami, and another amazing, amazing interview. To the people saying, "Oh, Zach, we talked to him about Gematria twice in the last 2 interviews, so go check that out." Incredible stuff. I cannot wait to go read this book, honestly, because that's where the true control is, in my estimation. It's with Hollywood. It's with music. It's with art. That's how they do it. That's how they really get a control of us. People watching the news, that's one way to brainwash them, but everybody watches the TV. And yeah, about Woodstock, people think, oh, Woodstock was this great place with free love and flowers. It was a bunch of dirty commie hippies where the counterculture was created by the culture, by the man. How can you have a counterculture when it's created by the man? Now, I'm going to update the links of this video, leozagami.com, leozagami.com is the top hit. Before that is actually, I'm going to update it now. It's going to be the link on Amazon to purchase his book. So please purchase the book and give him a review. And it would really help me if you say, hey, Fake Mike sent me. I saw you on Fake Mike, because I want to know that we're helping people. Leo Zagami has literally put in his life and his family and friends, members' lives on the line to give you this amazing information. And it would be a disservice to him and your fellow human being if you did not purchase this book. And please let him know that the fakest of all Mike sent you. And he's absolutely right. I grew up off hip hop. I'm a hip hop head. When hip hop started, hip hop was talking about the New World Order in the 1980s. Then in the 90s, you had Prodigy talking about the Illuminati. Then you had Wu-Tang, Cannabis, all these people talking real stuff. And now it's, I'm going to drink some lean and I'm depressed and I'm going to kill myself. Not cool. It's not cool. So guys, please, 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 two things. Get the book. Share the video. If you guys want some merch, holla at your boy, fakemikerealnews@gmail.com. And guys, yes, we're going to have some more interviews with Leo. We got some more incredible interviews coming up. I'm going to be going out and doing some audits. I'm also going to be get some other things. We'll leave it at that in the works. But yeah, please, 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 please share the video. It's the best way to help me out. I see Breaking the Flaw. Good to see you there. I see Frank Royce. Please share this on your community tabs. Please share this information. You guys got more subscribers than I do. Start the video over. Share this on TikTok, Facebook, everywhere. Email. Get these videos out. He's been banned a bunch of times. I've been banned a bunch of times. We need your help. We can sit here. We can do the interviews. But without you guys out there, we're really nothing. So thank you guys. You guys do an awesome job of getting the information out there. And yeah, Happy New Year to everybody. Time doesn't really exist anyways, but I hope you guys are safe. Take that Uber, take that Lyft instead. Don't risk it for the brisket. Check out Auditing America. He's going to have some videos coming out soon, some new videos. And yeah, we're going to go into the new year same as the old year. We're going to be confronting people. We're going to be owning these new wizard orders. We're going to be doing it with no makeup. There's not going to be any teleprompters, no suits. You're not going to see me with the part in my hair. It's just going to be me, the snapback, and a fake mic. Real news. Peace, folks.